What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 120, presented by Save the Game Media. I'm your host, Kevin, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. Physical Copy himself. Ethan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing a lot better today, Kevin, because guess what I got in the mail today? A brand
Ooh,
new sweatshirt from the Snack Network. Go check them out. Our buddies over there at the Snack Network. They've been killing it, by the way. Every short they're
yeah.
putting out, like over 2,000 views. They're getting hella views on their videos. They're about to do a podcast tonight at 10:30, I think, Eastern time it goes live.
Ooh.
Pretty late. That's a late podcast, but good for them. They're at Ohio, so it's a little earlier for them. It's late for me. But that's really exciting. They just started up a new podcast. But yeah, I just got this merchant today, thanking me for sending them that box of snacks from Texas. So shout out to them.
Oh,
Really,
that's
really cool group of people over there.
that's
Um,
awesome. Also, much kinder than you deserve,
yeah,
considering the
I know,
crap
right?
you made me eat from that
You only
box.
got to experience it. They got a lot more good stuff. They brought the worst of it to you, Kevin. So if anything, blame them. They could have brought you the stuffing, the holiday stuffing potato chips. They could have brought you the habanero salsa. All right. They could have brought you a bunch of different things, Kevin. They brought you the pickle candy.
Ugh, it was so gross, but that's awesome. Everyone, go check out our friends over at the Snack Network.
Yeah.
Awesome people. They don't make gaming content, but they make some sweet, sweet food content. All right, and
Food content. Sometimes
sometimes
sweet, sometimes spicy and sour. Yeah.
that's all you need. But this is Project X Talk. We're an Xbox podcast. And if you like that, we are live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time right here on YouTube. If you can't catch us live, we post every Friday morning on all of your favorite podcast services. While you're over there, please drop us a rating, drop us a review. It does help us grow. And if you'd like to interact with us more, please come join the Discord down below. The link is in the description. And finally, if you want to support us further and get early access to all Save the Game Media content like No Limits, Frame by Frame, I Hate My Friends, or the exclusive post shows that we're doing starting next week, every show is going to have a exclusive post show. The I Hate My Friends every week, and then the other ones will rotate. But if you want all that, go over to patreon.com/save the game media. Choose the tier that's right for you, just like our current Patreon supporters. So thank you to Bucky Blue, Hopple, Alpaca Tom, Amon, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Brianna's wife, Anna Hudak, Nikolai at Night, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, The Snack Network, David Hotwright, and Dave Harp, our newest patron. Thank you for your support. We appreciate every single one of you. Happy to have you along for the ride. And Ethan, before we get into it, you know what else I'm
Yeah.
happy about?
What's that, Kevin?
Dead Space remake reviews are
Yeah.
out today.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Let's take a look at the Open Critic.
that's right.
Let
Dead
everyone else
Space
look at it.
Open Critic. For those who don't know, we're doing a nice fantasy draft against No Limits, our PlayStation podcast, and then our movie and TV podcast, Frame by
Go
Frame.
check out our draft show. It was a good time.
Ethan, I want you to know Dead
Mm.
Space Remake is currently sitting at a 90.
Oh, it went up. I saw it earlier. It was at 89.
It was
So we hit
88
90.
earlier. That means we get double points. Yo, this draft is over before it begun. All
Over.
right.
Wait, hold on. Does that mean we get double points from here on out if it goes up, or does that mean we get 40 points now instead of 20? I'm confused on
I
those
think
rules.
we get 40 points now.
I feel like I
instead of
got a
20.
ridiculous amount of points with Elden Ring, so I think you might be right.
I believe it's something like that. We get more points. That's all that matters.
Get more
Suck
points,
it, no
exactly.
limits. Suck
It's
it,
over.
frame by frame. We're
It's over.
winning this.
It's over.
But Ethan, we're here to talk about games, and we got a lot of
Yeah.
Xbox news this week. So why don't we jump right into the warm up like we do every week by going around the room and ask one simple question. That question is, what have you been playing?
Oh, Kevin, I've been getting back into Hard Space Shipbreaker, but I don't think you want to hear about that. Go back like 2 months, you'll hear me rant about Hard Space Shipbreaker. Focus doesn't miss. Great sim game. Getting back into it's a lot of fun. But the other game I've been playing is the game that got dropped yesterday live while we were watching the Xbox Developer Direct, and that's Hi-Fi Rush. Okay, a rhythm game. Not a big fan of rhythm games. Never really been my jam. No pun intended. But and I said this to you in the Discord, and I think this is the best way to describe this game. This is an incredibly fun platformer with a rhythm twist. The rhythm function or the rhythm mechanic is really cool. It integrates well with the game. It makes the gameplay fun. It puts you in a flow state, but it doesn't overly punish you if you're not good at doing rhythm. Okay. You have a lot of helpers along the way. You can put up like a little slide bar at the bottom, which shows you when you got to time your shots. Also, another great feature is during combat, if you press your first attack out of tune, basically when the weapon you're holding comes down, that's when you need to start
Hmm.
hitting it again. So you can actually look at your character for cues. Also, the environment's moving. Everything about this game is to the beat, whether it be the cutscenes, the environment, your combat, your footsteps, your character movements, everything. And it just puts you in this flow state, and it's extremely fun. The soundtrack is fun, it's colorful, it's exciting. And yeah, just a great platformer, even in the spots where you're not doing combat and you're just kind of traversing through the world and getting from point A to point B. There's so many little side areas you can go off and explore to find loot, or I think the loot here is basically like scrap metal that you can use.
Yeah,
And then you can also
gears.
find collectibles and everything to sort of boost your stats. And it's just been really fun going around this world and exploring. I've only gone up to the first boss, which probably an hour in. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that long of a game. But from what little I played, I cannot wait to jump back into this world. I can't wait to review this with you.
Yeah, so I've been playing some Hi-Fi Rush, which the chat is popping off right here. Thank you everyone for stopping by
Ooh,
so far.
what's
Make
up,
sure to
everybody?
hit that like button and boost this stream. But Hi-Fi Rush, man, I am blown away. I know I popped off pretty hard when I saw it during the
It's exciting,
live
man.
stream yesterday. Hopping into it, I'm like, this is a Kevin game for sure. Like
Mhm.
just from the visuals alone, this game is gorgeous. And then you get into the gameplay where, much like you, I'm not usually the rhythm action combat guy, but the way they do it in here, as you were saying, like even if you miss, your attacks still do damage. It doesn't mess you up. Like I remember one of my big issues with Metal Hellsinger was like if I didn't hit it to the rhythm, I just didn't attack. Half
Right.
like that is not the case here. If you miss the rhythm, you're still gonna attack, you're still gonna keep going. And it once you unlock some of those combos, because I just beat level 2, I just beat the second boss, and you're flying around in the air because you get this thing, you get a magnet to pull you towards enemies, and then you can do some aerial combos. I'm feeling like Kingdom Hearts, like flying around like Sora doing some
Wow, good
combos. Yeah,
shout
it's
out, yeah.
feeling really, really awesome. Lovely stuff from them. Having a great time with it. I cannot wait to play more of it.
Yeah, and what makes it more exciting is that and we saw this during the developer direct, and, Tango Gameworks is known for a specific type of game, and that's horror, right? Or creepy vibes and everything. This is out of their box. This is out of their comfort zone, and I think that's what excites me because this is an Xbox studio that's doing something similar to what, Pentiment did. And they're doing these smaller projects that maybe aren't going to draw as much eyes or money as what these studios are known for. But they're under the umbrella of Xbox. They can do these little passion projects or side projects here and there. And that's really exciting to me. I'm not saying that this game is necessarily that case. I don't know if this was in the works before they got bought by Xbox. I don't know if this was going to be down the pipeline no matter what, whether they were
Mhm.
with Xbox or not. But this is the sort of thing I want to see out of Xbox is I don't want to just see these giant Call of Duty, stuff like that, especially when they buy Activision. I want to see these small passion projects and these exciting new things come from these studios, them, stepping out of their comfort zone and trying to innovate a little. This is really exciting. They knocked it out of the park with this. This is just great.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The soundtrack, especially, really good. I just can't get over like this came from Tango, and that's crazy because I do like Ghostwire Tokyo. I played that last year from them.
Yeah.
This is completely different experience. Sam in the chat
Sam,
says
I'm sorry.
coming
I
to
don't think this is
PlayStation
coming.
when. Never, never. It's
Yeah.
it's an
Sorry, Sam.
Xbox PC game. I don't know how intense. I know some people were saying in the chat that they're thinking about playing it on PC. I don't know how intensive it is on PC, but it is beautiful. I haven't had a single technical issue, by the way, Ethan.
No, yeah, it was just the live stream was kind of chugging a little bit, so I was worried about frame rate, but I mean, it's running really, really well on the Xbox so far. For low end PCs, I'm sure there's plenty of settings that'll knock it down. I don't think it's going to be that intense of a video game. During some of the combat sequences, you might see some frame drop. There's a lot going on. I don't know how specific the settings
I
get
haven't
on
had
PC
any.
for this game. We haven't had any. We're both playing on console, so for anyone playing on PC, just be prepared. Maybe you might get frame drop during battle sequences. Not entirely sure yet if that's going to be the case.
Well, one last thing I want to talk. Well, actually, I will mention this. We both finished One Piece Odyssey.
Yes,
And
we
our
did.
review for One Piece Odyssey, our review discussion will be out tomorrow on the channel. So
Really good
half
discussion.
of it is a review discussion, spoiler free. The second half is spoiler cast. There's a timestamp. If you're interested in One Piece Odyssey, like I know, shout out to Savoy Prime. I talk with him all the time. He was very interested. He was waiting for this review. So if you're
Yep.
listening, that'll be out tomorrow. Check that out if you're interested at all about One Piece or just a good JRPG.
Yeah.
But the other game I did want to touch on briefly, Fire Emblem Engage. And before I
Okay.
talk about it, I want to preface that I like the game. I am enjoying my time with Fire Emblem Engage.
Okay.
That being said,
Oh, here it comes.
this is a clear, not step, but I would say jump backwards from Three
Oh
Houses.
no.
This is nowhere near the quality of Three Houses for me.
Oh.
Gameplay, I think, is a little tougher tactics wise, still pretty easy, to be honest with you. I'm kind of blowing through the story battles. It's the side stuff that's more difficult in terms of the supports. Absolutely terrible so far. All right. Like, we're going to do a full review
Wow.
for Save the Game Boy next month, but every support is about tea or food. There's no depth to any of the characters. There's no way the Three Houses team made this. It's convinced me that there are two Fire Emblem teams.
Hmm.
And because according to Kyle, my brother, he said this is like when Awakening came out, and that was a 10 out of 10, and then they made Fates. He's saying Engage is the Fates to Three Houses Awakening. So I'm thinking there's two teams, one focused more on the social stuff and one focused more on the gameplay stuff. So maybe we get alternating types of Fire Emblem games going forward. But just had to say that. I'll give my full
That's
review when I
disappointing.
finish it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have at least one game that crushes you every year, Kevin. Last year's Mario Strikers. I guess this year it's Fire Emblem. Just getting crushed out here. Poor Kevin.
Lockless says I 100% need a job. All right, this ain't carpool. All right, that stuff don't fly over here. Okay, let me tell you. But anyway, Ethan, you've been
Yeah.
playing anything else you want to talk about, or should we get into this week's stories?
Let's talk about the stories, man.
All right, story number one is the Xbox Developer Direct recap. So yesterday marked the first ever Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct, and in case you missed our live reaction, we have a full recap for you. Before we get into what was actually announced, we want to talk about the format. So we have a question from Blaze Knight, and he wanted to know, did you enjoy the style of the Developer Direct, and would you like to see more shows in this type?
Yes, 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 yes. This show was awesome. I love the format of it. I love how intimate it felt, actually being able to hear from the developers about the game that they're making. And I brought this up a couple times during the live stream, specifically with the Minecraft Legends developers. What I loved about this was it allowed them to sort of explain what was going on the screen. We got to see a lot of gameplay, which awesome for all of these games. We got to see a ton of gameplay for everything. But what made it even better was the developers got to explain to you, oh, this is what we're doing here, or this is how I like to play this game. This is how I like to do, a dungeon raid in Minecraft
Mhm.
Legends or whatever, or this is how I like to play with my friends. And then they would show it on the screen, them actually performing these tasks. So you'd be able to pick up on all the different mechanics going on in the game, learning how to play the game while also just getting excited by seeing a bunch of gameplay. I thought it wasn't too long. It didn't feel long-winded. I know we kind of ignored it around the ESO part, but that's because we just don't play ESO. I'm sure people who like ESO were really happy with that section. But everything else, it got me excited for the games. It didn't overstay its welcome at any point for me. It just felt like a really great show.
Yeah, I would second that. I think we talked before we were going off air yesterday about how I really enjoyed the format of it, because you could have done simply an Xbox version of a Nintendo Direct, which could have just been
Right.
trailer after trailer or a state of play. Have
Phil Spencer going,
a
here's this, here's
yeah, a
this, here's
voice
this.
or a state of play, right? Like, because PlayStation took the Nintendo Direct and then they just
Right.
basically put a little voice over it. They could have done that, and that's kind of what people might have expected. This is very much like, okay, we're gonna put our own spin on it, and I thought it worked really well. There were like you said, the ESO segment, I don't know if we needed that in there. That felt more like a commercial to me.
I
But
mean, there's
compared
an audience for that, so
but it was very much like come check out our stream after the fact, right? As
right,
opposed to
yeah,
the rest of the show, which was very much like gameplay with some tidbits over it. And I really enjoyed hearing from the developers. You could tell, especially when you got to Tango, that they were passionate. Like you could
yeah,
feel the love about it. Okay, so I don't know how many of these we're going to get a year. I think it'll depend on how many projects are coming out because I don't really think you want one
right,
of these if a game is still a year away, right?
right.
These are more like here's what's coming in the next few months
Mhm.
as opposed to waiting to June and getting those big showcases. So yeah, I definitely like that. I would like to see maybe two of these a year, and I think that'd be a good cadence.
Yeah, and the other question with it is they need enough games to be able to do one of these. I don't think you could have done this last year. We just didn't get enough first party titles out to be able to do a sort of developer direct last year. So I'm glad to see most of these games are starting to come out this year, and I'm glad we got to actually use this format. I'm sure they thought about this for a while. They've just been waiting to use it.
Yeah. Well, let's actually dive into the show and do the recap. So first thing first, they announced 4 games would be shown, and then we got into it and they said, just kidding, 5 games we're gonna show off today. A little surprise, setting the tone for maybe future events, what you can expect. But firstly, we checked in with Mojang and their upcoming action strategy game, Minecraft Legends. The game will feature a story driven campaign, but this focused primarily on PvP, where 2 teams of 4 battle against each other. Minecraft Legends, was also given a release date of April 18th, 2023, which Ethan, I want to point out, was the rumored Starfield release date. So I think someone got
Oh,
their wires crossed there with
maybe,
the
yeah.
games coming out. But
Mhm.
I'm not the Minecraft guy. I've made
Yeah.
this very clear that I do not like Minecraft. The Minecraft kids have come for me on Twitter at more than one occasion.
Yes, they have.
They just need to accept that Banjo Kazooie is better than Steve. I don't know why it's such a hot
I don't
take,
think
but
that's controversial.
apparently it is. Okay. But this actually looked intriguing to me. I thought the gameplay looked awesome. It's not at all what I expected. I can imagine getting a group of your friends together and just being like, how can we make the other team's lives absolutely miserable this match? Because they
Yeah.
were like, what I like to do is make a maze with my walls and really slow the enemies down
That
and put
was the funniest
traps.
part. You're
And I
like,
was like,
"Oh, that's nasty."
yeah, I'm like, yo, I could if you have a team that you can chat with in party chat and actually formulate and calculate strategies, this
Yeah.
game could be a lot of fun. Like I still don't like the aesthetic. I wish it wasn't Minecraft theme, but it looked awesome.
Yeah, man, not counting Hi-Fi Rush. I mean, this was the surprise of the show for me. I went into this show not really expecting to care about the Minecraft Legends portion of the show. That's why I think at the beginning we even joked, we're like, let's hope Minecraft Legends is first so we can get it over with and move on to what we want to see. But it was a very, very pleasant surprise. I mean, this just looks like an extremely fun RTS, but with way more customizability options. Like just we saw the litany of different fortresses that you could build, people building different tower defenses, like you said, the mazes outside of the castle gates, building a moat around. I mean, there's so many options here and so many different avenues you can go around. And I think the big thing for me too is that it's going back to its Minecraft roots and having a procedurally generated map that's going to be different every time you jump
Hmm.
into a game. That just creates variety in the gameplay, and that's what makes Minecraft exciting, the base Minecraft, because you go in and you could be in any biome, you may be in any area, and you got to find a way to survive. This is going to be along that line. That's to me what didn't click with Minecraft Dungeons, at least for me, is Minecraft Dungeons had some fun gameplay, but you gave me the Minecraft aesthetic, and I'm expecting a certain thing. I'm not expecting a linear adventure through dungeons, right? And that's not what I really want out of that IP. This IP, I think, is combining what the best of dungeons is with the best of what Minecraft is at its core, and
Hmm.
that's what really gets me excited about this game.
I think it could be a lot of fun. April 18th. There's not much coming out in April, so like if we can get a group of people together, this could actually be pretty fun to
Absolutely,
to
I'm here
mess
for it.
around with. I don't know how much of the story. It will depend on if the gameplay is it like because if that's what you're doing against AI, it's gonna really have to be fun for me to commit to
Yep,
playing the story. But in terms of downloading on Game Pass and then getting some matches with some homies and playing through like
PvP.
yeah, that could be a lot of fun because
Yeah.
I just want to find out all the mechanics and then troll people
Try and
so
break this
hard.
game. And that's what's great about games like these is that once the community has it in your hands, and the same thing can be said about like Halo Forge, right? Once the community has it in their hands, we're going to see some bonkers things get created with this, with these abilities. So I'm really excited to see what the community does, and I'm excited to see how we can break this game. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I think this was the best showing for it, and maybe convinced us to pick it up in fantasy if anybody's
Just
listening.
goes
But
to show
you know,
to any devs out there, show gameplay. That's what we all want to see. That's what convinces us whether we're excited about a game or not cinematics.
next up we got from Turn 10 Forza Motorsport. So we didn't get a release date, just coming 2023. I've seen some people, all right, they're theory crafted, okay, because the font that they use for the direct, the word coming, the G looks like a 6, and people are like, it's June confirmed. And I was like, you
Come
people
on.
are reaching.
Grasping at straws. It's like
um
those old YouTube videos, like dog has 3 letters in it, 3 points on a triangle. Dogs are Illuminati. It's like you can't do that.
I'm a little worried about Forza, not gonna lie, because we didn't get a release date. I expected a release date that would be in the next few months, and I'm not saying it doesn't come out before June, but if there's a game that at the moment I think is might get pushed, it's probably Forza because why wouldn't they give it to us? Even the gameplay, what they showed, like what they showed looked beautiful. All right, they're
Oh yeah.
saying it's 4K 60 with some ray tracing.
It
That
looks
would be
nuts.
incredible, like a technical marvel.
Yeah.
But the fact that we only got like the information they gave us was very different compared to the rest of the games that we heard
Yeah.
from, because the rest was like how to play the game. This was like we designed the audio like this and the
It was
engines
showing
like
off how much
this.
it's gonna push the limits, yeah, and it didn't give us a whole lot of, like, strict gameplay. I can agree with that, and I don't know, that might be because they just don't wanna show enough right now. I mean, there's so many different things that go into these presentations on how much a development team is willing to, show at any one time, but yeah, as far as do I think it's coming out this year? I think it's a toss-up at this point.
Well, it's coming
Um,
out this year. I don't know if
you
it's coming out before June.
you think they won't delay it past or into the holiday
Mm,
season?
they better not. I got it in multiple fantasy
I
critics,
mean, I
man.
know we do
But
we do have it in Fantasy Critic, but I mean,
no,
I'm
I
not
think they
like
will.
I'm
I
not
think it'll
tripping
come out.
over myself to play this game. I'm not like a racing sim guy. I'm more of a fan of racing sandboxes like Forza Horizon or something like that. But yeah, what you said hit the nail on the head. This game looks great. It looks beautiful. It looks stunning. It looks like it's going to push the limits in terms of a racing video game. And it looks like it's going to be one of the most visually appealing racing games ever to come out. With it being on Game Pass, you bet your ass I'm going to jump into this and just to see what's going on with the environment, what's going on with the ray tracing, what's going on 4K 60 FPS. I mean, if they can pull that off, absolutely bonkers. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. We'll stay tuned for more on that. I'm not a Forza guy, so I don't. It looked cool. Cars look pretty. Go
Yep.
fast. Vroom
Cars go
vroom.
vroom.
Next was the surprise of the show, Ethan. Not
Yes.
previously announced to be there, as we've mentioned. Tango Gameworks announced a game and they gave off a deep dive for it. Hi-Fi Rush, as we previously talked about, their new rhythm action game. But the best news was that it was available that day on Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. We've already gushed about this game.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you have not seen what this game looks like, please go look at the trailer. If you have Game Pass, I recommend downloading it. The game is an absolute blast. Came out of nowhere, and it's blowing up on Steam right now, man. It was, I think,
Yes, it is. The top 10 charts.
it was top
That did the
5.
the day. Oh, it went up to top 5.
Yeah,
That's big. Yeah, I mean, huge congrats to Tango Gameworks. I mean, that this seems like a true passion project out of them. I mean, I loved that they got to do this in a developer direct and it wasn't some showcase or show person that was revealing this. Even I'm glad it wasn't Phil Spencer doing it. I'm glad it was the actual game director of the game and he got to tell us it's available today. And you could see after he said that, you could just see his eyes light up and how giddy he got. And then I think during the sizzle reel at the end when they were showing like bloopers or something, they were showing him laughing and high-fiving with the guy that was next to him. I mean, that it's just such a heartfelt moment and it's exciting to see a dev team be able to release a game shadow dropping like that without it fully leaking. I mean, I think we only got the game name and the logo leak,
Mhm.
which I mean, I feel like that's easy to get because I mean, people, farm trademarks and
Well,
stuff like that. You're always
it had
gonna
to get rated by the ESRB.
exactly. So you're that's probably a given that was going to come out, but I mean, nobody saw this coming. At least that I'm sure there might be a couple obscure leakers out there, and somebody can correct me, but I didn't hear nothing. But just huge congrats to that team. That's got to be so exciting for them, and the fact that it's a well polished game and it's fun and it's being very well received right now, both critically and by people buying it on Steam and downloading onto Game Pass. It's just so exciting. I can't wait to see Game Pass numbers for this.
And it's different. I think that's key. It's
Yes.
so much different compared to what we usually get out of Xbox, which I love. Keep that up. Keep the diversity, which
Yep.
I feel like Xbox has really leaned into this generation. Like we've had things like Psychonauts 2, and then you get your Halos, but there is more diversity in the types of games we're getting. I know some people still want those the overly dramatic third person
Of
over
course.
the shoulder narrative games. Hellblade, I think, is probably the closest we're getting to that, and I'm hoping that comes out this year, but not banking on it. All right, so,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I can't stop raving about the game. Can't wait to go more play.
Oh yeah.
Can't play more of it, but
Yeah, so you can't even talk right now.
can't
You're
even
so
talk. Can't
excited,
talk.
Kevin.
So excited. So excited. Uh, Next we got a trailer for ESO Necrom launching in June.
More ESO.
Cool. It's another
MMO.
expansion. Another expansion.
Yep.
I made a joke in the chat. Yes, no, am I right?
Stop it, Kevin. Let's just
Yeah,
stop.
yeah. All right, all right. Finally, we ended with a deep dive into Redfall from Arcane,
Oh,
showing off the single and multiplayer. We've got a
ooh,
release date of May 2nd, 2023.
yeah.
This game looks great to me. Looks like an
Yeah.
absolute blast. Probably not something I would play single player, but I
This
think
looks
this
like
is
it's
a
way
co-op
more
game.
fun multiplayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we can play single player, and I'm glad that they showed a lot of single player gameplay because that was my biggest question. Like, okay, you're giving me the option to play single player, but is it going to be fun? Am I actually going to be able to do things well in this world, or is it going to be overwhelming and, tough enemies? And I'm sure they wouldn't show it if that were the case. But looking at the single player gameplay, it looks manageable. It looks like you're playing like Far Cry or something, and you're trying to liberate a village or whatever you have to do. I mean, it just looks like a good sandbox first person shooter. And yeah, like I think co-op is going to be the best way to play this game. I can't wait to jump on with some buddies and play that. The whole thing with cross progression is probably going to hamper me from doing that a lot. I'm kind of upset about that. That really does suck, but it is what it is. But yeah, this was a great showing by Arcane Austin. I think the game looks great. I think the gunplay looks great. It's a classic Arcane looking game. It looks beautiful. It looks exciting to explore. This little sort of quaint. It looks almost like a New England island. It kind of reminded me
Well, it
of.
is.
Oh, is it? I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in
Yeah, it is.
Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of what was the expansion for Fallout 4? Far Harbor. It kind of
Mm.
reminds me of the Far Harbor expansion pack, just a little less creepy, which, if you could believe it, Far Harbor was terrifying, at least to me. But the aesthetics are cool. The gunplay looks great. I'm excited for this. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is the Arcane game that finally really clicks with me. I played Prey for quite a long while, and eventually I just found it too difficult to continue to play. I got stuck and kind of soft locked, but Dishonored's never really clicked with me. Deathloop definitely did not click with me. So I'm hoping that Redfall is, and I would describe it's given me Borderlands and Destiny vibes in terms of like
The loot
the
system,
looter
yeah.
shooter type experience where you party up, you go on these missions. That's the kind of the vibe I'm getting, and I'm here for it. I like those games. That's fun to me. I'm hoping the like I said, the co-op progression thing is annoying, but I'm just gonna be like, okay, who's gonna be the host, and then I'm only gonna play if you're on, and we can coordinate our schedules. That's however
Yeah.
long that takes is how long it takes. Okay, if maybe the game doesn't click with me and I drop it, then they can play single player. But what I did like was that they showed off finally the different ways you could play, because
Yep.
before this they've previously just been like, okay, you go guns blazing, they're showing off skills and techniques, but they finally were like, you can play this game as a classic Arcane stealth game. Like you have them sneaking
Yes.
down the stairs, taking people out in the back with headshots. That looks cool. If you can, I like playing stealth games, especially in co-op, where you can, okay, I'm gonna get this guy over here, you
Hmm.
get that guy over there, and then you coordinate, like do the countdown, take him out. Someone inevitably messes it up, and then you have to go guns blazing. Like
Right.
that is so much fun to me. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's what makes the Dishonored series one of the greatest stealth games of all time. Even though they tell you you can do it either way, you can go in guns blazing, you can go in stabby stabby, or you play stealth. I think Dishonored, the way to play that game is stealth in reality, and that's the best way to play that game. So, if it's an arcane game, I'm going to do everything I can to play it in stealth, and if they give me those options, I'm taking them every time. It looked like a really good time.
Sam says, looks real fun, but the gunplay and general movement slash traversal looks a little clunky to me. I can get that,
Well,
but
gunplay felt like
I've
arcane gunplay.
you're
You
not
know,
the only one I've heard say things
yeah.
like that. Okay.
Arcane is let's be real here, when we're comparing arcane first person shooting to like a Call of Duty or like a Far Cry or some of these bigger sort of IPs that are first person shooters, I think you could describe arcane as a little bit clunky or different or whatever word you want to use. But to me, I like that style of gunplay. I like Dishonored's gunplay. I like as much as I didn't really care for Deathloop, the story wise and how the mechanics work. I did like the gunplay in Deathloop. I enjoyed
Oh,
the
that was my
combat.
worst part.
You see, I'm a sucker for arcane first person shooters. I'm a sucker for it. So I guess I just have it through rose colored glasses or whatever, but I love the arcane style of shooting.
Well, May 2nd for that one. That was the leaked and rumored release date. So I think we all went in expecting that, and that's completely fine. I think May is well, I shouldn't say it's completely fine because it's 10 days before Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, they yikes. We're gonna have to coordinate some schedules for that, Kevin.
Well,
It's review season, folks.
I'm not
It's
playing Tears
review
of the
season. That's
Kingdom,
all I'm gonna
so you
say.
guys have fun with that. I'm just saying, in terms of mind share for the general gaming community, it's gonna have a hard time. Like, maybe it can be beaten in 10 days. Like, maybe it's a 10-day long game. Like, if you put
Yeah,
some
but the
hours into it.
replay value looks good. By the way, see you, Lachlan. Thanks for stopping by. The replay value for Redfall looks off the charts. If I can just spawn into this world and do looter shooter stuff and clear out vampire dens and encampments and stuff, that's an endless loop to me. I mean, to be like, if you give me randomized loot, I'm just a sucker for it. I'm going in every time. So I feel like this game's going to eat up many, many hours of my life.
Yeah, it'll really depend. I know they're selling the deluxe edition stuff. I believe what they're doing is they're selling the like deluxe edition stuff separately and then saying play it on Game Pass. So I think they're selling like a $30 like here's all the extra stuff and you could buy it just standalone like physical like collectors stuff and
It's
like
kind of cool.
it's very interesting. Very
It's nice to
interesting.
give the option.
Yes, Captain Logan, thanks for stopping by. He says 2 new characters coming as well. So they did
Yeah.
announce a expansion pass, so you can get new operatives. So it's clear they want this to be a game that's going to be prolonged and not just a
Yeah.
one and done type thing,
Kind of
which
like a hero shooter almost too. Every different character had their own unique abilities, and it seems like they have their own specialties. So that'll be interesting to see, which character I'm more comfortable with when you're working co-op with a team, how you work, how you gel together with different characters. It's gonna be exciting to try and jump in all these mechanics. It looks like there's a lot of depth to these mechanics, whether it be equipment, powers, your skill tree, all that stuff. I'm excited to dive into it.
do note once you pick your character, just like Destiny or Borderlands, you can't change your character without starting a new game.
That's
So
tough because
be
there are
aware.
gonna be times where I wanna stealth, and there's gonna be times where I wanna kick down a door with a shotgun, and I'm hoping those things don't get in the way of each other. I'm hoping I can do both those things just fine.
Uh, well, good direct, good first show from
Yeah.
Xbox. I think we can both confidently say that. So we'll move into story number 2. It's a little more depressing, unfortunately.
Ugh,
Justin Roiland has resigned. So, announced on
yeah.
Tuesday, it was announced that Rick and Morty creator and co founder of Squanch Games, Justin Roiland, had resigned from the company. Adult Swim and Rick and Morty have also cut ties with Roiland, along with Hulu dropping him from his show Solar Opposites. This all comes amidst domestic violence charges, which include injury and false imprisonment, along with some inappropriate messages to underage girls on Twitter. Not a great look for
No.
Justin, Ethan.
Nope, it's a shame, because, I've been a fan of his work for so long, whether it be Rick and Morty. We just played High on Life earlier. Was it last year? December it came out? Yeah,
Yeah, it was
last year.
December.
It's crazy that, I've been listening to his voice acting for so long and this info comes out. We've seen the screenshots, Kevin, both of us, of his chats that he's done, drunken chats with underage women. It's disgusting. The guy's a scumbag. He clearly has something mentally wrong with him and he needs help, or he needs to go to prison for the rest of his life. I don't give a shit which one he gets. I'm glad he's off of all of his projects. He doesn't deserve another dime. He doesn't deserve any more royalties. I'm really interested to see what because there's a lot more people involved in Rick and Morty and Squanch games than just Justin Roiland. Yes, he does a lot of the voice acting. Yes, he's the inspiration for a lot of the comedy, but there's so many other people behind it. Artists, VFX guys, sound technicians. There's whole companies now set up around this guy's vision, and now he's out of the picture. So they have to pivot now. And I feel really bad for those people that put their trust in him. And now they've been completely betrayed by him, and they got to try and find out how to move forward with their lives and their visions for what they want out of these companies. So I'm hoping Squanch Games can recover. I don't know. They might have to change their name. They're never going to be able to make a High on Life 2. It's in now
Yeah.
Rick and Morty 2. I don't even know what the hell they're going to do with Rick and Morty. I mean, I've seen people online saying maybe they'll transport them to another universe and they'll have different voice actors or something. I don't know. If I feel like at this point you should just cancel it and move on, work on a different project, try and find a new voice cast. But yeah, it's a shame. It's disgusting. And you hate to see people
Mhm.
that you've trusted and enjoyed for so long just do these horrible things. And it seems to be really common nowadays. And it just sucks every time.
I was gonna say, it's really not that hard to be a good person. Like,
No, it's not.
it's not that hard to not be a creep, but
Don't be a scumbag.
apparently it is for people that get rich and famous. I genuinely don't understand why this dude would throw away everything he has accomplished in life because of this. Squanch Games, maybe they need to change their name depending on how much baggage, but whatever they put out next. And I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be High on Life 2 because that
No.
will be asking for the press. But whatever they put out next, it's going to be the questions of, well, how how are you going to move on from
Yeah.
Justin and his past indiscretions, or how are you going to, like, what was the process of making this game? We know your studio went through something traumatic along those lines, stuff
Yeah.
like that. They're not going to be able to get away from this from a while. So, like, maybe a rebrand would help them distance themselves, like say, hey, we made a new studio, get him out of the founding position.
But what's tough about that is like, is that even going to be profitable for them? Did they make enough money on High on Life to be able to do something like that, to do a full rebrand, get new trademarks, move on to a different IP? I bet you they had like a High on Life 2 in the works or in on the planning boards or maybe in early pre-development, who knows? And then you got to scrap everything. I mean, there's a lot of employees on the line here and it really sucks and they're going to have to figure something out and I'm sure we're going to hear news later on this year about it and I'm hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst when it comes to all of these projects and all of these people that have been so dedicated to making these great shows and great video games for so long.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Questions in the chat. We have Captain Logan says, do you think Squanch Games will pivot to a different type of humor in their games with this news?
Yeah, because that humor really is.
It's Justin. It's like his brand.
It's like it's almost proprietary to Justin Roiland, right? Is that sort of humor, and because so much of that humor is derived from his his voice acting, right? And the way he stutters, the way he delivers a punchline, the way he speaks, the way he burps in the middle of a
Rambles
sentence, like
on for way too
rambles
long
on
and
for
like
something.
explains the jokes.
Right, and that's his comedy, and to replicate that is going to be giving him kudos and giving him attention and all that sort of thing, and I don't know. That's something that those people that are working at Squanch and whatever company does Rick and
Yeah.
Morty or the other
It,
Solar Opposites, I think that's the other show. That's something they're gonna have to determine, and that's why I said I don't know if it's even worth salvaging at this point, because how can you completely change it up? You're at like season 7.
yeah,
So you're done.
I think the shows will try to stay with the humor because that's
Right.
just what the shows have an identity. The
Yep.
game side for Squanch Games, which is more what I'm trying to focus on.
Right.
I think because they have the ability to make something completely new, if they pivot, it's not that big of a deal. As opposed to if they put out a sequel and then it's
Right.
completely different from High on Life 1, that would be jarring.
Yeah.
So I think we see something new out of them, and I think it is different. I don't think they go back to this high on life humor, which sucks because I
Yeah.
really liked High on Life.
Yeah,
I thought it was
I
funny.
connected to the game. It was really fun to play, and it's clear that development team has a lot of talent in it, and it's clear they can make a good video game. So I have nothing but trust that they will make a good video game going forward. It's just, yeah, there's a lot of questions on what they're going to do, and I'm excited to see what they come up with. I guess I'll say I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Sam in the chat says Squanch likely won't come out unscathed. I think it's best to dismantle the studio, but bring devs in house at Xbox because even rebranding won't help them escape questions at
Yeah,
this situation. And I've heard that for a few people because of their relationship with Xbox and how well High on Life did on Game Pass. That people were like, well, why doesn't Xbox just take the devs under their wing and maybe form a new studio underneath
I mean,
them?
that sounds great, but is it really that simple? I don't know if it can be as simple as that.
Let's ask Lionhead.
Yeah, oh, don't you just picked open a scab, Kevin. Poor Lionhead.
Well, Justin Roiland, screw you. You suck. That's
R.I.P.
all.
You
That's all
suck.
I have to say. Story number 3. Oh, before we get to story number 3, I promised Logan in the chat we would answer his
Oh yes.
question. So he asked, and it's about Redfall.
Mhm.
Got to scroll up and find it.
You might have scrolled too far. I already found it.
Yes. Do you think you'd
Oh, there
go
it is.
back through the game with new characters if they resonate with you?
That completely depends on how fun it is clearing out nests and doing like uh encampments. I'm just going to call them encampments at this point. I don't know what they call them.
Gameplay loop
If
has to be
the
there.
gameplay loop, if the gameplay loop is great and I can stealth in and I can pick people off with a silent sniper rifle and, go in depth and sneak around buildings and sneak around rooftops and sort of clear out a whole encampment before anyone sees me, absolutely. I'll go back and replay this game a million times.
Also depends on what else is out around that time.
Well, yeah, there's always that. Yeah.
there's so many games coming. Like I very much adopted like a one and done type playthrough mentality. That's because we're
There's
just
so much coming out. Yeah.
getting
And
games at such a rate.
we got to play them all.
we
I love it. We
gots to
got
play
to.
them.
We got to.
Okay, but we can finally get to story number 3 now. Thank you for the
Yes.
question. And it's just your Xbox Game Pass update. So we got the rumored second drop yesterday, right after the developer direct. This also goes into the start of February. So it looks like they're trying to play catch up here. I suspect the next one we'll get will be mid-February to finally like even it back out, and then we'll go back to the 2. But continuing Xbox's announcements from yesterday, the latest Xbox Game Pass drop has said, as previously mentioned, Hi-Fi Rush is available now on cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. January 27th, tomorrow or today, depending on when you're listening to this, or yesterday, who knows? GoldenEye 007 is finally coming to cloud and console with achievements, 4K resolution, and improved FPS. January 30th sees us get RoboQuest game preview for console. January 31st, you get Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition for cloud and console. Inclinati for game preview for a cloud console PC. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R for cloud
Jojo.
console and PC. February 2nd brings Darkest Dungeon for cloud console PC and Grid Legends for cloud. February 7th, you finally get Hot Wheels Unleashed Game of the Year Edition for cloud console PC 2 months after you were meant to. Ethan, out of these games, apart from Hi-Fi Rush,
Yeah.
what are you looking forward to checking out here?
Not much, honestly. Incolinati? Is that how you say that? I keep seeing that being advertised on the homepage on the Xbox dashboard, and I've looked at some videos of it. It looks weird, but like weird to a point where I want to try it to see what it's all about. It's kind of like in that style of like medieval painting, kind of like how Pentiment did, but it looks like an indie Pentiment, if that makes sense. So I'll probably try that out. GoldenEye 007, I'm definitely going to jump into that at some point. That was my childhood, playing GoldenEye 007 on the N64. I mean, that was a huge part of me growing up as a gamer. It was the first person shooter that I played in my life. I feel obligated to go back and just to check it out again, because again, you haven't been able to play this on anything but a Nintendo 64 and a cartridge unless you emulate it, which I've always been too lazy to emulate N64 games. I just haven't really cared. But I'm excited to see how they do it. I don't know how they're implementing the twin sticks in this. I haven't read it into it at all. I don't know if you're only going to have one stick. For anyone that doesn't know, who may be a little younger than me, the N64 controllers had one stick, and you kind of just moved your gun like this. It was really weird.
Sucks.
No, I thought it was great. I loved it. As a kid, I was having a blast. My dad beat all the levels for me so I could unlock them all because I was too dumb to do it. And then I got to play a bunch. It was a good time.
Logan points out in the chat, if you have rare replay, you also get this added in at no
Oh,
extra charge. So that's a great rare replay is also
cool.
on Game Pass. So I mean, it's on Game
Yep.
Pass anyway. So regardless, tons of ways to get GoldenEye.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna say it right now. People are gonna jump into this and realize this game does not hold up. They're gonna realize
The
this
games from the
the
90s.
control scheme does not work very well.
We need to just give it. This is like pre-modern gaming. I would describe this as like we can't. You're not going to play Star Fox now, Kevin, and say this is a masterpiece, right? Like, come on,
Star Fox 64 holds
stop,
up.
stop. Don't even stop. You're just pretending at this point.
GoldenEye 007 came out in 1997, and
It was when I was born.
Wow. It came out a year later and still holds up to this day. To this day, Ethan.
Yeah. Just say it. Hurry up. Let's get it over with.
My beloved Banjo-Kazooie.
Kevin, I played Banjo-Kazooie earlier last year.
Holds
and it looked
up
like brown and green vomit on my screen. Okay. That 4:3 aspect ratio, the 140p, blocky textures. No, it's fun. I'm just trying to piss you off.
Did you play it on Switch?
I'm just trying to play. It was a good time. But I mean, come on. We look at those old games and it's either nostalgia is driving us to play it. I mean, nobody's jumping into GoldenEye 007 for the first time ever and going, this is a freaking great game. Like, no, nobody's jumping into Banjo-Kazooie 1 who hasn't already played it and be like, this is the platformer of the century. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Psychonauts 2 is clearly the platformer of the century so far. But, I'm excited to get that little bit of a nostalgia hit, that dopamine rush, jumping into and hearing that intro music again. So should be a good time.
Yeah, there's nothing really on this list for me apart from Hi-Fi Rush. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R.
JoJo.
Maybe if I'm really feeling a fighting game.
That's a fighting game.
Yeah,
right?
it's a fighting game. It's a fighting game. If I
out.
just want to mess around. I've played Hot Wheels Unleashed. I have it on PS Plus. I got it over there when they were giving it away, and
that game's been on every service except for Game Pass. It's been free on Epic Games Store. It's been free everywhere. No, really? I heard some good things about it.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it too. I think Hopple really enjoyed it. Just not for me. I thought it controlled very poorly. It looks really good, a very pretty game, but I just could not deal with the game. I don't know. I may have doing something wrong, but nothing really here for me, unfortunately. But that's fine because there's plenty to play elsewhere. And Fire Emblem. So I gotta play Fire Emblem. And Persona 3. So many games that I want to play.
A lot of long games.
And then the end of February, more games coming out. But we can move on to story number 4 and our final story for the day, Ethan. And that is Xbox Q2 fiscal year 23 financial results are out. Microsoft reported their fiscal year 2023 Q2 results, and to summarize the important stats for Xbox, gaming revenue is down 13%. Xbox content services is down 12%. Xbox hardware revenue is down 13%. First and third party content declined, but Game Pass subscribers grew. This comes via Benji sales. And just for note, these statistics are relative to Q2 fiscal year 2022, not last quarter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm just going to say it. Xbox had no games last year. Right? Like, I think we could all agree we had Pentiment near the end of the year. And then I'm blanking here. Did we have maybe? I guess I didn't like it enough if I can't remember.
No, we didn't. We had High on Life. High on Life was the other one. But
I mean, but that's not even first party. That's technically third party. But yeah, I mean, no games. You're not going to get sales up. And I mean, I think we're going to see a natural decline in hardware sales anyways after, the holiday season of this year. I feel like they've been out in the wild enough. We're starting to see PS5s out in the wild even. So it seems like
it would have been the holidays.
This would, no, that's what oh, really?
Yeah. Q2 should have been the holidays.
Well,
I believe, unless this is September, unless they're really behind in reporting, but I feel like
I don't know.
This should have been the 3 months to end 2022.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, either way, no games. You're not going to get a lot of people buying, but I think the fact that Game Pass subscribers grew, I think that just shows how great of a deal and how great of a model that is. And imagine, well, I mean, we're planning on it this year. Imagine them using it to pump out some of their greatest first party titles. Like we're getting Redfall, we're getting Starfield, we're getting Forza Motorsport. I mean, I feel like this year, if we can hit our targets and we can come out with these first party games, I mean, Game Pass has got to blow up, right? Especially with Starfield. We're going to see a huge increase in subscribers for Starfield. It just shows that this is a great platform, a great revenue stream, and it's a great deal for gamers. So even with no games, people are still buying into it because they're like, I get the entire Xbox catalog and a bunch of third-party stuff. Let's go.
I'm not as so these numbers are a little worrying. Xbox hardware revenue being down 13% is concerning because they had so many deals during the holidays. We reported how Xbox was the best selling, Xbox Series S especially sold like hotcakes during the holiday season. But you are comparing it to 2020, would have been 2021 holidays. So the consoles were newer. They didn't
Less
have the
people had
sales.
them,
So
yeah.
in terms of money, they probably made more the previous year, but this one might have gotten more units out the door. So it is a you have to look at it from different perspectives. This year, though, if we were seeing these numbers for their next fiscal year, and they were like, yo, 2023, this is what they're looking at, I think something catastrophic happened
Especially
because
if we hit our marks with the first party titles. That would be
yes,
scary.
yes, if you get Starfield, Redfall, Minecraft Legends, maybe a Hellblade 2, if we're being like generous, if you get crazy stuff going in here in 2023, and then their fiscal year 24 says things went down, that is a problem. That would be, we need to take a hard look at the Xbox hardware, what's going on. Great Game Pass grew. I think that is completely fine. Because we had High on Life, we still had games entering the service people wanted to play, and I still think that's going to continue throughout this year. But they really need to get the hardware and everything else back up.
I feel like hardware sales are just going to be on the decline for the rest of the I mean, I feel like that's the natural
Oh no,
progression of hardware
it's only two
sales,
years.
unless you're Nintendo. Because I mean, once you saturate a market, you've saturated the market. At that point, how many more units are you really trying to push out? I mean, you're not going to sell as many units on the third and fourth year as you did the first and second
I
year
have to.
of your product,
I might
right?
agree with you. I might agree with you normal years, but we've coming out of the pandemic where supply constraints were incredibly tight.
How long have these
PlayStation
Xboxes been on the shelves, though, Kevin? I've seen Series S's on the shelf since March of last year.
PS5 just hit 30 million, right? And they're
Right?
projecting to sell plenty more. PS4 is at 115 or
Oh, it's
something million.
bonkers. Yeah.
All right. There's no way it should be declining already if they want any chance in being anywhere near the play PS5 this generation. They need to continue to have a strong
Okay.
console base.
I can see
Because
where you're going with
PS5s are
that.
still gonna fly off the shelves, I guarantee you.
Right. Yeah. PS5s are going to be sold out of the factory. But I mean, yeah, okay, I can see why that concerns you. But for me, really, the most concerning is game revenue and content and services revenue. I think if those continue to go down, then that's like an alarm fire, right? If hardware sales go down, but we see the uptick on everything else and people are still actively engaged in the ecosystem, playing the games, getting Game Pass subscriptions, I think that's positive growth. If those indicators go down, then I'm getting pretty scared here.
I could I get what you're saying
Yeah.
because Xbox is available on more than just their hardware. Like
Yeah, they
people
don't
are
make money
on
off of the hardware anyways.
well,
They're trying
yeah,
to put it
but
in people's living room.
you still want those numbers to look
Yeah, yeah.
relative. Like you don't want to be outsold at a margin of 2-1 compared to competition like
Yeah,
they were
we
last
know we're
generation.
gonna be outsold here, Sam. All right, hold your
Yeah,
horses.
yeah.
But we just don't want to get embarrassed. Okay, we don't want to be embarrassed. Let us live. Nintendo's embarrassing all of us, so we can't say anything.
Yeah, Logan says shouldn't console sales drive everything else up? I I
It
would say
should.
console sales should drive Game Pass up, and it depends on what you bought the console for, because there are people that buy the console like a Series S strictly for Game Pass, and
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
true.
going to purchase any games on it. Like they'll get it somewhere else. And I've heard the rhetoric that Xbox is training its consumers not to buy games because of Game Pass. Like, oh, we'll just wait for it to come into Game Pass, which
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people
could
that do
be.
that. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Jury's still out, I think, on that. But I think hardware should correlate with Game Pass at least, and then Game Pass should correlate with everything else. Like I would like to think if you're in the Game Pass ecosystem, you're probably going to be buying stuff on the Microsoft Store. But
well, I'm also interested to see how much more they expand Game Pass this year in terms of where you can play it. We see the dealings with the Samsung TV manufacturer, and they're putting Game Pass, an app, basically on every TV they manufacture, every smart TV they manufacture going forward. I'm interested to see how many more deals Xbox makes, how many more, places you can play Game Pass, and maybe that'll eat into console sales. Because if somebody has the app and maybe doesn't care as much like we do about like things like latency or something like that, or response time with controls, they're not trying to be out here going 25-3 in Call of Duty matches, right? They just want to play some single player games a little bit and fire up an app. I wonder how much that might eat into sales going forward. So interested to see what their strategy is here.
Yeah, it'll be neat. Like I said, this is compared to last fiscal year. It'll be interesting to see when we get more numbers for this fiscal year, because I expect things to be different when they report fiscal year, the rest of fiscal year 23 and then fiscal year 24. I think should look a lot
Starfield's gonna
different.
be nothing but positive if that comes out this year.
It's coming out, Ethan. Stop
That's
saying
a console
saying if it
mover.
comes
I'm
out.
trying to prepare myself, Kevin. Let me just get it in my head. I'm so scared. Okay, I'm so scared.
You just keep, if Forza comes out, if Starfield's coming, they're coming out. All
I'm
right.
just scared.
And Hellblade's coming out too. Let's get it.
No,
But
I don't know about all that.
I hope. But everyone, thank you for hanging out with us today. It's been a jam-packed episode. Chat has been lively. Absolutely. If you aren't in the chat, I don't know what you're doing. 5 p.m. Thursdays right here on YouTube. Come over, subscribe. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers this year. We need your help. So come on over. Love hanging out in the chat. Plenty of people to talk to. But Ethan, where can they find you if they want to hear more about your ridiculous, it might come out this year?
On the Discord, where I will put out that evil Chevaruni. I will.
No. You can find me at the Muffin Mon on Twitter. It's a 1-7I and an 0-7A. Make sure to follow us at Save Game Media over on Twitter. Stay up to date with all of our latest videos, like that One Piece Odyssey review coming out tomorrow. Check that out. But until next week, where it'll be a pre-recorded video because I'm moving, we'll see you. Goodbye.